So, we'll call the meeting to order. Okay, this is the regular meeting, Wednesday, June 26th, of the Ramapo Town Board, and I'll ask the clerk, Christian Sampson, to call the roll.
Councilman Wanunu? Councilman Weissmandel? Councilman Rossman?
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Charles?
Here.
Supervisor Specht?
Okay,
We have a quorum, pledge.
we have a quorum. And I would ask if our town clerk, Dennis Lynch, would lead us in the
He
pledge.
is the town attorney.
The town attorney, I'm sorry.
I'm not as good looking as John Burke, okay?
Sorry.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so on the agenda, our first item is public participation. Would anybody from the public wish to speak?
Madam Supervisor, Acting Supervisor, I'd be happy to briefly give the background. This is
Wait,
a,
wait,
No, it is public.
This is public participation. Thank you. Council's ready to roll? Okay, being that I see no hands, thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Rossman, seconded by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 3-0. Okay,
If I may, the record should reflect that the
no,
proper...
no, now we're going to do the public hearing, so she's going to reopen public participation.
Okay.
Open public hearing.
Right, so you have to open the public hearing.
yes, okay. So I will now reopen public participation.
Hearing.
Public hearing.
Public hearing? Yes, sorry, public hearing. As I was going to say, item 2, the public hearing, I'd like to open the public hearing.
Mr. Lynch.
Mr. Lynch?
Thank you,
Council, please.
Acting Supervisor.
Thank you.
We have before us a proposed local law. The local law specifically sets forth the specific percentage. It changes the prior law that had 2 alternatives. The record should reflect that a proper public hearing notice was provided. With your permission, I'll read into the record the notice of the public hearing by the town of Ramapo that pursuant to provisions of the town law of the state of New York, the public hearing will be held at 7:01 p.m. prevailing time at the Ramapo Town Hall, 237 Route 59, Suffolk, New York, 10901, on the 26th day of June 2019, to consider the adoption of a local law entitled, quote, "A local law authorizing the granting of tax exemptions for Cold War veterans," close quote, and local law is now part of the record. The publication was made, the affidavit of publication is before the board members in my file, and the affidavit of posting by the town clerk was also accomplished. The matter is ready for a public hearing.
Okay.
Any speakers?
Do we have anyone who wishes to speak on the tax exemptions for Cold War veterans? Mr. Romanowski, I recognize. Please state your name and address.
Robert Romanowski, 183 Maple Avenue, Muncie. I'm glad to see that the town is supporting veterans. The veterans do a lot. They put themselves in harm's way so that we can have the freedoms that we have. And I urge this board to approve this tax exemption for veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romanowski.
Anyone else?
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Wanunu, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, carries 3-0. Excellent. All right. Now, item 2B, adoption of local law, tax exemption for Cold War veterans, extent of exemption from taxation. Council?
If I may, this is a local law that will permit the town to grant a partial tax exemption for Cold War veterans. The exemption will be 15% of assessed value, and such exemption shall not exceed $12,000 multiplied by the latest state equalization rate. This local law will effectively, by operation of law, as we say in the law, nunc pro tunc, change the prior law and effectively repeal it so that only the 15% assessed value would be allowed, and that's a more generous one, I might add.
Okay.
How does this
Any
apply
questions?
to the widows of the veterans?
I don't know the answer, but I believe they benefit from it, but I can certainly check that.
Yes, I think we had Mr.
The-
Shedler come in.
I'm sorry?
The last time we had Mr. Shedler answer that question.
Right.
And that woman was here, and I think that they,
I believe the exemption survives the spouse of the veteran in the same,
does
the
survive.
same premise, yeah.
Yes, I happen to have an opportunity to read this tax exemption, and the survivorship, I believe that's the term that you use when you have a surviving spouse, and under that word, that terminology, that's how the spouse of the veteran continues to utilize this exemption.
You're 100% correct. In
Yes.
answer to Councilman's question, I did look specifically. The definition of qualified owner, as our esteemed acting supervisor said, includes the surviving, unremarried surviving spouse of the veteran. So it does qualify.
Oh, so if she would remarry, it gets not.
That would be the interpretation we would say.
And any single children, does that follow the same way?
Just the unmarried,
Spouse.
the remaining, unremaining surviving spouse who remains.
So God forbid if there was a death where the father and mother would both pass, and you would have young children, it doesn't pass to them.
Under this local law, no.
It doesn't.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? All right, I will call for a motion. Motion by Councilman Rossman, seconded by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor? All opposed? Carries 3-0. I'd just like to say that this is a paramount step that the board has taken on behalf of the veterans in the town of Ramapo, and it clearly states that we support them in any way that we can, and we hope that this will be a great help to them and their families. Okay.
So thank them for their service.
And yes, and please, Councilman,
No, please, thank
Councilman
them for their
Wanunu,
service,
thank you
yes.
for your service, and this is a way that we have, as the greatest municipality in the state of New York, town of Ramapo, thanks all of our veterans for their service. It's very important for us to do everything that we can to secure themselves and their families. So thank you for your sacrifice and for your service. Okay. So item 3, Town Attorney, 3A. Counsel?
If I may, there's a lawsuit that's pending against the town by a longer plaintiff. As usual in cases where there's personal injury, we do ask to assess the injury and perhaps have someone testify at trial that what's called an independent medical examination be performed. There's an individual, Dr. Golden, whose fee is $1,650. That's certainly within the range of fees that are charged for such an examination. We would recommend that the town board authorize payment of that particular independent medical examination, so we have the benefit of that report.
Have you used this top board previously?
Not this one previously, but we do know that she's well qualified.
The zip code's probably wrong. That's a Brooklyn zip code. 11230 is a Brooklyn zip code. It says Garden City, New York, 11230.
That I would not know about the zip
No, I'm
code,
just,
but
it's
I'll
probably
defer
something to be looked at.
to you.
it's 11530.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't memorize zip codes. I just where I grew up.
No,
That
no,
was
it's on the
zip
next
code.
page. It's on the next page.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
No,
such a genius
no,
with
not
zip
that I
codes.
knew it. It's just, do we know the background on what it is that happened with this? What is these?
We wouldn't,
Well, we don't want
Was
to
that
talk too
something-
much in a public session,
okay.
except to say there's a claim of an injury that requires medical confirmation.
Okay.
So I believe that Councilman Wanunu is the champion on this board for insurances and things of that nature. So I hope that he would know the details of this if he could get him the information.
We will certainly do that
It does
directly.
involve insurance, so maybe he could take a look at it and we can be clear about it since we can't discuss it.
Yeah, no, but
Okay.
it's for the medical exam should be
Right.
fine, yeah.
No, those are standard examinations.
Standard?
We really
Okay.
need those.
Perfect. All righty? Okay.
Motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Wanunu, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All in favor? All opposed? Carries 3-0. Next item is 3B, amendment of resolution number 2019-355, authorization to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, East Ramapo Central School District. Council?
If it pleases the board, previously you had approved a resolution that would allow this, but the specific rental fee was not included. If I can defer to our Director of Purchasing if she wants to comment on it, but this particular one indicates that there will be an exchange, using our hourly equipment rate of $362.21 an hour with a rental fee to be negotiated, unless we have that price right now.
I will double check with our Parks and Recreation Director, as this is for the camps, so Michelle does it. I think that you could probably feel comfortable in saying that since it is in a form approved by the attorney's office, that the dollar amount per hour is there.
And that we would not be allowing any type of an exchange of consideration unless it matched the hourly rate of labor and equipment.
Right. Hang on one second. Since this is the last item on the agenda.
What you could do, if we can't get the specific amount, you can indicate that
Not to
the,
exceed, we could do a not to exceed as well.
yes, not to exceed, or in a direct equivalency of the per hour rate. So that would be one way of doing it, too.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Hang
I'm
on for 1
comfortable
minute.
Okay, so I do have a concern. I may possibly need to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay. What number was supposed to be on the rental fee? For the East Ramapo intermunicipal agreement? You have a doc? 23,000? So it says the East Ramapo School District will permit use of the above facilities for a rental fee of, and that should be 23,000?
I have to recuse.
And then on the bottom, and an amount equal to the rental fee of 23,000.
Discuss
You know, I don't know that there's a
Okay, thank you.
because they probably need the lot done.
So I believe our Director of Financing has indicated the rental fee would be $23,000.
Okay, so I would like to just present this to council. East Ramapo Central School District, I have recused myself in the past from these votes because, full disclosure, my husband is a board member on the East Ramapo School Board. So I feel that if there is a conflict of interest, I may have to recuse myself from this vote. I understand the urgency in looking at what the authorization is for, and I totally agree. The potholes are as big as craters on the moon, and they do need to be fixed, but I may have to recuse myself from the vote.
Well,
Council?
let me give you my opinion. There's two types of recusals, a mandatory recusal and a permissive recusal.
Okay,
If you or your family, immediate family, is getting a direct financial benefit from any transaction, then that would be a mandatory recusal. I don't know if your husband is a board member of the board, you
Yes.
fully disclosed that.
yes,
I'm not aware of any direct financial benefit he would receive by this.
okay,
And likewise, the town is not getting any direct financial benefit other than a fair market value exchange. So my opinion that this particular matter, not other matters,
okay.
would not be a mandatory recusal. If you believe you can be fair and impartial on the vote, having fully disclosed in public everything, from a legal viewpoint, I'd have no objection if you were to vote.
Okay, under the advice of counsel, I will move forward and not recuse myself under full disclosure, so I'll ask for a vote. Okay, moved by Councilman Rossman, seconded by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 3-0. Thank you, Council. Okay, any new business? Being that there are none, any council
Oh,
member
one
comments?
sec- I'm sorry.
Chief of Staff?
Yes, you actually, the agenda item wasn't published within the 24 hours, so the two items that you voted on, although it's not a law, it is a rule. If you could just vote to
Which two items?
Which two?
the town attorney items. They were not on,
The medical exam and the East Ramapo?
right, so you can just
We
waive
have
the
to redo all
rules.
three votes?
No,
No, you can just waive the 24-hour requirement if that's your desire to do that.
Okay, so I'll call for that motion, Councilman Wanunu, seconded by Councilman Rossman, to waive the 24-hour rule that allows us to vote for two items, 3A and 3B.
And that would also be non pro tunc, too.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody
No,
needs soap.
no.
I think his mouth needs to be washed out.
Okay, do we have any council member comments?
did you vote on that?
Yes, we did.
Yes?
Yes?
No.
Why don't you do it again?
Okay. It was,
I think I did it.
yes, Councilman.
Been moved and
Bruno,
seconded, yes.
Yes.
I second
All
it.
in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 3-0. Okey dokey.
Now adjourn.
Any council member comments? Being that there are none, I'd like to say that today is the second day of the Cuban national game at the Boulder Stadium. Also, it should be Palisades Credit Park Union Stadium, where the Boulders play, and if you are able to go out and support the Boulders this evening and the Cuban nationals that have come here to play, please do so. It should be an exciting game. Okay? My dad is Cuban, full disclosure. But I am American, so I'm voting for both teams.
Well, that could be a mandatory recusal, so.
Okay, so having had no more business this evening, I call the meeting adjourned.
No, no, motion to
Oh, motion to close?
adjourn.
Councilman Rossman, seconded by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Very nice.
You did a good